G'day guys, my name is Ben and welcome back to Southern Cross Tech. Today we're going to be having a look at the Sony SRS-HG1 wireless Bluetooth speaker. So let's jump in and have a look. First of all, I'll give you a guide of the exterior of the product. Along the top you have your indicators for your different modes. In the middle you've got your NFC pairing, and then across the top you've got your phone call answer, you've got your extra bass option, your volume plus or minus, and your power button. On the back of the speaker, at the bottom, starting from the bottom left, you've got your charging port. Next to that you have a second micro USB port. That is for connecting to a PC or any other devices. That will allow you to input sound into it. And you also have your 3.5mm audio jack. Up on the top right hand side, you have your mode selection button, which toggles between the different modes, whether it's auxiliary input, network connected, or Bluetooth, or any of the other options it has. And then across the bottom you have your options for stereo pairing, updates via the network, and a few other options. On the bottom there is a little reset button. Now when I got this out of the box, I had problems getting the Bluetooth to connect. Well, not so much connected, but to stay connected, because this device has a built-in standby mode. So say you're playing something on Spotify through your phone and you turn Spotify off, this will turn itself off after 15 minutes so it doesn't drain the battery. The problem I had when I first connected, I was playing Spotify, would let it play, and it was still playing, and after 15 minutes the speaker would turn off. And I don't know why that happened, I couldn't figure out, so essentially I went for the reset button and that seemed to work. So I reset it and I didn't have any more problems with it. When you get this, install the app to your phone and go through and do the updates. It will help because there are newer versions of the built-in operating system that will update for you, and it gives you more stable connections. So as you can see on the top, it does have an extra bass option. A lot of the Sony speakers, the XB series, have this option, except I find this to be a more elegant looking version than the XB series. This is very sleek, it's subdued, it doesn't quite stand out, and it's not as thick or as chunky as the XBs, but it sure does put out a great sound. With the extra bass off, it sounds very mild and placid. With the XB on, it makes it a great listening experience. Now for those of you that have seen my previous video about the Jbl Charge 3, that was my favourite Bluetooth speaker, until I got this. This thing, when you listen to them side by side, the sound leaves it for dead, I believe. The Charge 3 gets a little bit louder, but the depth of sound through the Sony speaker is much greater. And for something this size, this is actually quite a hefty speaker. I think this comes in at 1.8 pounds, or for those of you in Australia, just shy of a kilo. And it's an even smaller form factor than the Jbl Charge. Now, there are pluses and minuses to both the Charge and the Sony. Sony's got a better sound. The JBL has better battery life. The Jbl Charge has a great battery. It lasts nearly 24 hours on my use experience, and it does give you the option to charge your phone from it if your phone is going flat, which is a great bonus. The Sony only has around a 12-hour battery life, which is good, but when you're away camping and you don't have somewhere to charge it, I would prefer to go with the Charge 3. So as far as connectivity range for the Sony goes, you get around 30 feet, but give or take walls. Walls will cut that down, so in a straight line, I can get about 40 feet or around, 12 to 13 meters in metric measurement. But in the house, if you go walking through a couple of rooms, through some walls, and that cuts it down drastically. So as far as the specs for the Sony goes, it only runs two 35mm drivers, but the sound is still great. The sound, despite having the grill on the back, the sound only comes out of the front. The grill on the back is just for aesthetics. There may be a bass port underneath the back grill. I haven't pulled it apart to check. So you can actually remove the front grill off the Sony, and it gives you a look at the dual drivers. This in the middle, I'm not sure if it's a woofer. It doesn't say so in the specs, so it's probably just a bass radiator of some kind. But as you can see, it just gives a little bit of a gauze through the back plate. Unlike the JBL Charge 3, this isn't water resistant of any form. If you want something that does have water resistance, so if you're going to be using it outside, taking it away camping, you might want to go with something like the XB or even the Charge 3. The Charge 3 is still a great option. So now it's time to see how these things sound. I'm going to give you the sound comparison with the extra bass on and off, and I'll also give you the sound comparison to the JBL. So now that you've heard what they sound like, I will leave it up to you to make your own decision. I know how I feel about it. I feel the Sony has a better sound, but I still do use the JBL. I use it in a different part of the house. This predominantly lives in the kitchen, so when we're cooking, entertaining, we use the Sony, but the JBL gets used to take out to the shed, when I'm doing some work on the bike, that sort of stuff. I do still use the JBL. It's still a great speaker. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Make sure that you subscribe. Click the like button, stay subscribed because I just recently had a giveaway in January. A lucky subscriber did win that. And if you guys want to make sure you're aware when next time there is a giveaway, make sure you hit the notification button. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video.